Hey everybody, Scott Brearley here from Soulmates and Suitcases with my beautiful wife, Lisa Brearley. And we have Melissa Silverstein here on season 2 and episode 6. And Melissa is a recovery coach. She's got 13 years sober, and knowing a little bit about drinking days, I'm sure she's got a few stories to tell. Especially on the healing side.
Yes.
And that's more what we want to focus in today. Here's Melissa. Melissa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what started your journey?
Yes. Thank you, Lisa and Scott. So great to meet you, and thank you for speaking with me. This is wonderful. So, as you said, I've had 13 years sober. I've also been a lawyer for 20 years. There's some overlap there, and most of it kept me out of recovery because of my ego, thinking that I should have it figured out, not wanting to ask for help. And I really didn't know what to do at my breaking point. And I think you all can relate to this, where you're just so broken on the inside. There's no other choice but to seek a different path. Things looked relatively decent from the outside of my life. I hadn't been arrested. I hadn't lost a house. I hadn't my car still, my beautiful children. Uh, but my life was falling apart. And this was in 2012. And you know how they say, don't change a whole lot your first year sober. I got divorced and sober at the same time, which was a wild
Ooh.
roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, I could imagine.
It was awful, but I think it needed to happen that way. It was, I think, my opportunity to push the reset button on my entire life. And we don't get those opportunities very often, so I took it. I was in therapy for months before getting sober. I had slowly learned to trust this therapist. We're very skeptical people. And she just sprinkled in one day, like Parmesan cheese on pasta. Maybe you should check out AA. It might be a good thing for you. And the way she said it was so kind and gentle. And I think she realized that if she told me what to do, like all good alcoholics, we would do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So I trusted her, walked into AA one day not knowing anything about anything. I went to a meeting in a completely opposite part of town that I lived in because I didn't want anyone to see me recovering, but I had no problem drinking in public, passing out in public, doing other things in public. And as soon as I sat down and started listening in that first 12-step meeting, I felt this huge sense of relief, and I didn't even know why. And it felt like someone finally understood why I drank the way I drank. They were telling my story. I felt like I was home, and I felt this huge sense of relief. I was so nervous to say my name, an alcoholic, after it, but I did it, and it was this weight that lifted off my shoulders. So that's how it started. I do have lots of war stories. I don't
Yeah.
so much get to those anymore. Like, Scott, being in long-term recovery, it kind of becomes the reason we got in, but not the reason why we stay in.
But really, is it the reason we came in, or was it the feelings and the emotions and the fear and the loneliness and the discontent that got us here?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. It's that whole thing wrapped up in this complicated mess.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed and full of shame. And I thought, this is what my life has come to, really, being an alcoholic, going to these meetings, being around people like this. And that quickly disappeared into gratitude and thinking, I am so lucky to be an alcoholic. I never thought I would say something like that, but it really got me this whole instruction manual for life that I felt like I was missing for so long. I mean, these group of drunks that are around us seem to have a sense of calmness and they're okay with life. And that's what I wanted when I first got into the program of recovery. I came from a world of achievements and accomplishments and material possessions and showing from the outside how great we are while we're broken on the inside. But there are these people in meetings who don't have these accomplishments, or maybe fresh out of prison or in a halfway house, and they are so much more content and happier than I was coming in. And that is what I wanted. I wanted that feeling that I saw in people's eyes of contentment that couldn't be earned or bought. And it was such a different way of looking at life. And I do think those horrible emotions and feelings pushed us into those rooms, but
Mhm.
I got so much more out of it that I could have never expected.
Mm, wow. And like when you said that you were grateful to be an alcoholic, I don't know if the that was the word grateful you used. I just
Yes.
heard this term recently, negative gratitude, I think it's called negative gratitude. So being thankful for this challenge because it brought you to some place or some realization or some awareness, right? So kind of
Yes.
so I think you explained that, but what was that for you? Like what did it mean for you, I guess, to say, I'm doing this now. I'm saying this now.
Yeah, I gratitude was never something I had as a daily practice. It was always like a thunderstorm was following me around because of the way I approached life. So yeah, gratitude for this horrible problem didn't come very fast. It wasn't an instant thing. It was something that grew over time, especially after working the steps. And it was really about forming the relationships in the room with people. And there were people from all walks of life. There were professionals like me, there were judges, lawyers, doctors. There were people who had just gotten out of prison, like that day. They were just released, and that's where they went first, which is so admirable. They brought people from detox centers, from rehabs, and also getting to see how other people live was very humbling and also made me very grateful for the life I was living because I approached life just from, I think, a very superficial perspective at that time. And I didn't realize how good I had it until seeing how other people were struggling. Even an example of this when someone would say, I lost my parents at a very early age, or I haven't had any communication with my brother in 20 years. And I was like, wow, I can leave this meeting and go call my parents or go call my brother, and they're there for me and supportive. And so, very small things like that made me realize, appreciate the life that I have at this moment. And things could be so much worse, even though we come in broken and in different emotional states. I felt like this gratitude just grew over time from seeing how other people have such horrible struggles in their life.
Yeah, that reminds me I think we were kind of talking about this the other day when you said, you had or have a great family or a family structure in some way that supported you. And so when you arrived in AA, you kind of had that calm way of looking around at the room and going, okay, I can find that sense of gratitude. I know Scott
Hmm.
can probably tell you his own perspective, but it was for I think for you it was about getting sober, but there was so much more that needed to happen for Scott. Like there was so many other modalities or whatever places where
Yeah.
he could go to get the additional support to even to deal with those challenges of life that didn't come easy, like the family background and the history. And so it's I don't know, it's just an interesting awareness in that room, I guess.
And I'm also one of the
Hmm.
people that I haven't really had a good experience in 12-step programs. And I know most of it, I got to go like this
Yeah.
and point the finger back at me because of my lack of social acceptability. I'm the guy that you would have looked at that was struggling all the time and that came in with nothing. And I came to my first meeting court ordered at 15.
Wow.
And I didn't stay sober till I think I was 40 something or turning just before 40. And it was a struggle. And then even after that, you asked what happened to kind of set things off. Well, at 11 years, I got divorced from a lady that I was with for 8 or 9 years. And we were married 7. And that was my best relationship that I had ever had in my, not best, but the longest relationship. Before that, it was like a year or maybe year and a half. And but I didn't get loaded for the first time
Mm.
because the ticket was burnt out. Like I knew getting loaded would do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 or 3 years later, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working in the movie business trying to fit in there with the prostate cancer and then with a head like mine, not getting along with anybody. And trouble just seems to glom onto me without me even trying. And it's been that way my whole life. And then I got to like my favorite saying was the universe hates me. At 15 and 16 years clean, I was saying the universe hates me and I just want to put a gun in my mouth. Well, I went to the self-help program, and of course, they're trying to upsell me from the 3-day course to the next
This is recently.
the big wingding. This is like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm mad. How dare they? But yet I want to go home and kill myself.
Yeah.
So I go out to my Harley and I go to put my leg over my Harley. And I know they're fairly inexpensive in the States, but add 40% on the dollar to buy it in Canada. So they're pretty, but anyways. So I go to throw my leg over a $35,000 motorcycle, and it's just like something stops me in my tracks. And it's like, if my
Mm.
bike mechanic tells me to put 5 grand into this bike tomorrow so I could ride it, I would have my credit card out in an instant. So I had to go back in and pay for the course. It's about
I
you.
think you bring up a great point, and that's kind of why I wanted to start my coaching business to show people there's more than one way to get sober and stay sober. My
Mhm.
program may have started in therapy and AA, but it's evolved so much. And
Mhm.
that can include things like EMDR therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've had a very interesting yoga journey for the past 20
Mm.
years, and I consider yoga medicinal.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
so I want people that I work with to feel comfortable that you have to do it this way and that's it. And if you don't do it that way, you're out kind of thing, which is kind of the vibe that I get sometimes from AA, honestly. Like,
yeah.
this is it. You do it this way, or you're going to be shunned. And I don't believe in that. And it was always something that I too felt strange talking about in the rooms of AA. Like, what else am I doing to be an evolved person? Like, I really love studying Buddhism, and that was a big part of my recovery. So there's all these different things that we can pull from. They're all equally valid. And I liked what you said, Scott, about checking your motives. Like, why did I take the mushroom and what did I get out of it? Sobriety and recovery is a very personal journey, I think, in a public space sometimes. But I completely agree with you that if it works for you, that's it. That's all that we have to decide. It works for me. Parts and pieces work for me, and I try to pull together a very customized recovery plan for my clients, and they appreciate it. They feel relief when they know it. Just some have come out of 12-step experiences very jaded and very disappointed and say, I guess recovery is not for me then.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
no, there's more to it than this. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you didn't like about it. Let's talk about other spiritual practices in your life, other exercise practices, other gratitude practices that we can put together. And I can just see their eyes light up when that happens.
Stuff. And
Yeah.
that's exactly why I wanted, because I've been around for 40 some odd years now, and imagine the amount of people that I've watched die that don't need to die.
They don't have to die.
Like in New Westminster, BC, where it's a big sober community.
Oh,
If you don't follow what this one recovery house does, you're shunned. If
yeah,
you get
I've
kicked
seen
out,
that.
you're shunned. And it's like,
Yes.
it's sad because, like in my case, all I really needed to be was loved. Not tough love.
Yeah.
I just needed love. Some people need tough love. I'm not saying tough, but in my case, I needed to be loved. I've had tough love all my life.
Hmm.
And
Yes. And real love, I think, feels different. I didn't know what that was, and I started to understand what that was in recovery. And that's being there completely for someone without judgment. And you're right. The feeling of getting just a hug without any bad intentions behind it is different. And it was weird to me at the beginning because it felt so uncomfortable to just be loved for who I am fully,
Yeah.
because there was always an expectation behind it. You are going to earn love by getting some sort of job with a title. You only deserve love if it's like transactional. So the feeling of love, I think, is the current that pulls us forward in sobriety. And you're right, Scott, like we don't need, life is so tough. And some of us don't need that coming. We just need softness, kindness, acceptance, and a real hug without anything bad behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're all different. We're all different on the journey, that's for sure. And so
Mhm.
have been a lawyer, you said, for 20 years.
Yes.
And in that 20 years, you got sober. So do you actually show up differently, do your job differently? Like, what happened in that shift for your business professional
I
life?
could write a whole book about that. I am actually writing a whole book about that.
Are
So,
you? Oh, exciting.
yes. Yeah, yeah, I am. So, it's been, I think, a very positive thing in my life that I've had this type of education, this type of career, but also it held me back from getting help. It flat out did. Because I had so many preconceived notions of what I wasn't. And I thought, this is not going to work for me. I'm not an alcoholic because I can maintain such a high level of functioning in this job. And I would stare at the degrees on my wall. It's all ego. It's all ego propping us up. And I had to get to the point where there was no other choice but to do something else. And I remember after a particularly bad bender that would always start during day drinking. That was my worst. Day drinking with clients or going to lunch, I'll just have a glass of wine with this client, and then like midnight would roll around and it would be awful. And so I remember one time this happened right before getting sober, maybe 6 months before getting sober. I was in such desperate need of something. I got an online copy of the AA Big Book and I just opened it to a random page. No context, no guidance, had no idea what it was. And I just saw God all over the pages. And I thought, this is not for me. So I automatically wrote it off and said, this is not, I am different. I am better than this, honestly. And come to find out, we could make that God anything that fits us. Our higher power is very personal, it's very customized to where we are in our life. So it did make me show up different. At first, I did everything I could to hide it. I would go to a lunch meeting almost every single day. It was my home group. I went to a lunchtime meeting. And I was embarrassed for a while, but then I started becoming more and more comfortable with this idea. And then around 8 years sober, this was at the beginning of COVID, I decided to really go public with it. And it wasn't to get pats on the back or say, look how great I am. It
Yeah.
was to show that I can actually show up as a professional person, as a successful person, and also as a recovering alcoholic, all those things together. And that's an unusual combination to see in public. I would put it on LinkedIn. I would put, when it would be my sobriety birthday, I would always do a LinkedIn post about it. And I got such huge reactions from people. And it was more for the purpose of showing that if you have a problem, I did too. And look, we can all recover together as a professional.
Mhm.
And so going public with it in COVID made me feel like a whole person because I really felt like I was living two lives, the sober life and this lawyer life.
Yeah.
I became a lot more honest with myself. I began asking myself how I want to show up at work. I started really standing up for myself in a lot of work situations because I started having that sense of real self-worth and real self-esteem, which are skills that I didn't learn my entire life. And now it's brought me to the point of saying, how do I want my legal career to look? And it's very different
Mhm.
than how I started. I'm not so driven anymore. I'm not so focus on titles and walking up this corporate ladder. I don't feel that bringing me any sense of fulfillment or um, satisfaction as far as self-worth goes. So
Hmm.
it's changed me, I think, quite a bit. I have not walked into my profession the same since getting sober. It's changed me, I think, for the better in my career.
And have I'm assuming you've been working at the same place, so have others noticed? Have others been influenced by you in some way?
So I'm not working at the same place. I've had four different, 4 or 5 different jobs. So I've had 2 law firms on my own. I'm very entrepreneurial. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So it's not a big deal to start businesses, run businesses. Um, I've had my last job was very high profile. I was a lawyer for very well-known consumer brands. You can go buy at Target or on Amazon.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember the moment when I decided to essentially out myself at that job and tell people this is who I am. It was my 9th sobriety birthday. I was invited to speak on a panel. It was, I think, International Women's Day.
Mhm.
And there was some question about wellness. And I was speaking to the entire company, which was 1,500 people on a Zoom. And I just said, today is my sobriety birthday. I'm 9 years sober. And it was kind of like a collective gasp in the chat as far as congratulations, this is awesome. But then the real miracle happened afterward with people I had worked with every single day saying, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I have this problem. My child has this problem. I grew up in an alcoholic home. Can we talk more about this? So it just kind of cracked open this wall that I didn't even know existed, and it made me more human. It made the interactions more human. And ever since then, that moment made me feel good about sharing my sobriety in a professional setting.
Yeah, it's amazing when it just takes one brave person, one brave
Yeah.
time to inspire someone else, right? You don't know who
Mhm.
you inspired to go get sober, right?
Even that,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I worked construction my whole life, and everybody always knew I was an alcoholic addict because I made sure of that, and it put you on the outside.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because everybody drank and everybody smoked, and then of course I'd relapse once in a while and join them and then go back. So it was like a,
Jumping back and forth.
yeah.
Yes.
And so one of the things that you wrote in your bio was about long-term integration rather than crisis intervention. So when you're working with clients, helping people, what does that look like for you?
Right. So I make it very clear I'm not a therapist, not a counselor, not a medical doctor. I am a lawyer, and a lot of what I share is through lived experience, both in the corporate legal world and in the recovery world. It's kind of this interesting combination that I don't really see out there. So my clients understand this. They know they're not coming to me necessarily in crisis. I've had a lot of people come to me saying, I'm frustrated. I've tried a 12-step program. Um, I've I feel like I don't fit. I feel like I'm not able to sit and hear the message. I'm so busy in my career. I struggle deeply with work travel. A lot of my clients really struggle staying sober
Yeah.
during work conferences. That is a huge issue for a lot of my clients. So we've done workshops just on that.
Hmm.
So it's more about, okay, how am I going to help my clients build a life around recovery rather than you're really struggling today, you need to go to a detox, you need to go to a rehab. It's almost post that process. Some of my clients do end up going that route and coming back to me. But I do a recovery wellness plan with my clients, meaning there are so many different aspects of our life that integrate into recovery, family, work, um, health, wellness, spirituality, religion, all of these things. And it looks different for everyone. So It's an ongoing process. I like my clients to know this as well. It's not a magic fix that's going to happen overnight. It's those habits that build, this new life for us. It's doing those repetitions. And I think my clients like that. It's like a dynamic process between us. It's not, this is what we're going, this is the program, so follow it or get out. It's almost like we work off of each other. Some days, of course, are better than other days, and that recovery wellness plan changes over time. What we start as at the beginning usually doesn't look the same 3 months later.
No, I would
No,
suspect not.
not even close.
No.
Life doesn't work out like that.
No.
Just a brief pause in the show. If you'd like to dive deeper into our work, our books are available on Amazon. You can also get instant electronic copies at payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors. Now, back to the show.
No.
No, not at all. And that's a good thing for a lot of people. It was a good thing for me that it didn't work out like that.
Well, I know I would never have planned the life that I have today. I would have sold myself out. And it's like I've told Lisa 100 times. If I, like, you know how you tell people to write down the partner that you want in my life or want in your
Uh-huh.
life? Well, I would have sold myself out at line 10 compared to what I got with my wife. Because it's amazing.
Yeah,
But it's also us teaching each other how to love each other.
that's beautiful.
And the respectful place to learn to love
Yeah,
yourself, which is a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
because we all spend time, like for me and Lisa, we talked about soulmates and suitcases, and we always think our soulmate's out there. But if your soulmate's not in here, how are you going to attract the
Yeah.
person you're supposed to be with? And trust me, I wasn't this person when Lisa met me. It's been evolving. And
Yeah.
how you were saying a different person, it's like a couple weeks ago, I was acting out a little bit, and Lisa called me on it. And I just went, babe, this is how I would have been acting 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And this is how little it is today. So I'm going to pat myself on the back. And I think I said, don't be so critical on me, or can you please not be as critical? Because I will apologize when I'm because it's like we're so, and not that Lisa's ever generally hard on me, like it happens once in a blue moon. Probably should happen more, but it was nice to be able to stand up for myself, not in an angry way, in a way just like, you know what, I can see how far I've come.
Hmm.
Yeah, in a conversational way.
Yeah.
Now, one thing Scott seems to become more aware of in the last year or two, in because he was just diagnosed with ADHD, and ADHD, a lot of people very creative minds,
Hmm.
and your high achievers kind of group of people. Do you kind of see a lot of people who are, highly intelligent, highly creative, you know, just are go, go, go all the time, and how that affects both sobriety or how that affects self-worth as well? Like, do you see a lot of that in that group of people you're working with?
All the time. All the
Yeah.
time, almost everyone. And I think we're wired that way from a very early age. Me in particular, um, I just felt compelled to be the best in school, even though I was a heavy drinker at that time and in high school. Same thing. I was a very heavy drinker, heavy partier, but I for some reason could maintain my grades. And I thought because I could maintain my grades, I deserved to drink or I didn't have to stop. It was almost like a reward for performing at such a high level. And that didn't change for me. And that doesn't change for a lot of my clients. We really are, I think, a group of people that A++ personality type where we just push ourselves so hard to the point of burnout and we're chasing something. I haven't quite figured out what we're all chasing. And that is probably one of the hardest things for my clients to come face to face with, to realize what are we chasing? What are we putting all of our energy into? And alcohol did become a coping mechanism for that, where it's this
A
very
great
high
answer.
stress, yeah, very high stress environment. Law school was like, I say it's like paying for the honor of being tortured. Uh, and then the legal field in general is also very high stakes.
Mhm.
And it's not usually conducive to a grounded spiritual life. Those things usually don't go together. And just getting my clients sometimes to sit still with themselves is very difficult. You know, in step 11, the prayer and meditation, that's something that a lot of people struggle with, especially high achievers, high performers, because we're essentially penalized for not going fast enough or penalized for not producing. And so when we're wired like that for decades, it's hard to just sit still and stop because we feel like we're doing something wrong, essentially.
Yep, I could see that.
I spent most of my life being a stonemason.
Wow.
And I worked up in Whistler this one summer, and everybody was getting piecework, and I'd never worked piecework.
Explain what that is first.
Square foot instead of by the hour, like
Oh, okay.
contract. So I go up there, and most of the guys are averaging 25 square feet a day. On my best day, I laid 125 square feet.
Wow. That's a
And
lot.
and it was average like that all the time. Like I was 40 plus almost every day. And it's like, and that's kind of where my achievement was. However, and
Yeah.
I don't know if this is kind of how you got, for me, it was like, this is all I had. I had nothing else because I had no self-worth or no self-esteem. Everything was on my work. And people would look at
Yep.
me like, how can you? And it'd be like I didn't stop to talk to anybody. I ate my lunch. I would take a bite of my sandwich and put it on the rock and continue working while um, but yeah, it was, I look back and that's how I was just driven all the time. And then kind of in that last period I was talking about, something got burst. And it's like when I walked in 23 years ago, this was my favorite saying when I got asked to share this stuff. Well, I didn't use the word stuff, but this shit just won't work for me. I
Yeah.
know it won't. And somehow it has. It got me to a point where I was healthy enough that actually maybe unhealthy enough that I was desperate and had to go a different direction.
Hmm. Yeah. And I see a lot of my clients who function the same way where, you know, financially very comfortable, but still driving so hard because I do think it's wrapped up in self-worth and self-esteem, where work is so much integrated into our identity. And it's kind of a shock to the system when we realize that work doesn't have to be our identity.
No.
I kind of had an epiphany the last year of saying, I don't have to earn fun. So I always had this idea that I can have fun only after I put in so much work or achieve certain goals, and then you can go have fun. Fun is kind of like the afterthought. But last year, something clicked in me where I said, you know, I can just go have fun to have fun, and that's okay. I love going to concerts, travel. I love doing my own like landscaping work, gardening work. I love getting dirty in the yard and all of that. But it was a real mindset shift to the point where I had to kind of give myself pep talks of saying, you don't have to work all the time to earn fun and to earn happiness. Happiness and fun exist on their own, regardless of work or identity.
Yep.
I did the kind of exact opposite. I worked 7 days a week, and then the last 6 years that I worked as a driver in the movie industry. So we
Uh-huh.
worked like some days 26 hours and then had
Wow.
to be back to work in 5 hours. So for a blue collar worker,
Yeah.
I was making 250 grand a year in Canada as a truck driver. And so after I met Lisa, I think I only worked 3 months more, and at 53, I pulled the plug and I
Pretty
haven't
much
worked again.
retired. Yeah.
Haven't worked again
That's
since.
great.
I mean, I've done renos and stuff on our properties, but that's it. And you were talking about the uncomfortable. You should have seen me in my first year of not working. I was just like, the second year got a little bit more comfortable at how we're gonna do this. And then last year we decided to build a house in Thailand, and it's like, oh my God, how are we gonna do this? And we just did it.
We did it, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
These are the gifts you get by not giving up and building a
Exactly.
life that's worth living.
Exactly. And we don't know what that life actually looks like. And I could have never imagined my life today. I never knew I wanted a life like this. And I would have sold myself short, like you all said. I would have dreamt so small. And now I can dream a lot bigger because of this beautiful recovery path.
Yeah, and it's so hard when you're stuck in it to know or to be able to see there's something different. And when you kind of get to see something different, you're like, wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that's possible,
Yes.
which is pretty cool, right?
It's very cool. But I did want to mention, I do have a
Yes.
free gift for your listeners. I
Oh,
did put
fantastic.
together a mini resource document. This is based on the document that I work with my clients. It has a lot of kind of non-traditional recovery resources that we don't necessarily think about.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to send them to your listeners if they want to follow me on Instagram. It's The Healed Professional. And if they send me a DM, with the word brief, BRIEF, because it's called the THP brief, and because it's a brief list of my resources. I'm happy to send that out for free to your listeners.
Yeah.
I think it can
That
be
would
very
be
helpful.
excellent.
That would be excellent. Yeah, that's awesome. And what does it look like if someone's interested? Because maybe someone really likes you, aligns with you, likes your
Yeah,
story. So what's the process? What would it look like when
sure.
someone connects with you?
Yeah, first and foremost, I've been working very hard on my socials to provide value. And
Yeah.
if it's just a 30-second video that people see of me and it helps them on the recovery path, I think my work is done essentially. But I do really love working one-on-one with people. I have one-on-one coaching, I have group coaching, and also corporate coaching. All of this can be found on my website, thehealedprofessional.com. I do a lot of Instagram lives, TikTok lives, but my goal in setting up this business was helping people first, providing a lot of value. And so I want people to see that recovery is possible in any stage of their profession, from the C-suite all the way down through the corporate ladder. So definitely feel free to reach out to me at thehealprofessional.com. Follow me on socials, TikTok, Instagram. I do provide a lot of recovery tips on my social media accounts.
Perfect. And now you're in Colorado, so do you work with clients in person or also online?
Mostly online. So I work with people from all over the country. Our group coaching is called Pathways, and people are welcome to join from anywhere, all over the world, actually. And this is a curated group of professionals. I realize that people not only want the one-on-one support, but also a group of people they can start meeting each other and forming these relationships of people who might be at a high level in their career, but struggling with getting and staying sober. So THP Pathways is my signature group program where it's a bunch of people that come together, and I do lessons based on my 4 pillars of recovery. These rotate. It's a constant rotation, so people can kind of jump on that moving carousel at any time. There's no specific entry point. So I invite anyone who's interested to check out Pathways and get to know other people in this recovery community.
Okay. And do you still connect with the AA world consistently or?
Not as consistently as I used to. When I first started, I went to 5 to 6 AA meetings a week for 6 years straight, and so I really steeped myself in it. I feel like live the principles, live the steps every single day. I still do my 10-step inventory. I do my prayer and meditation every single day, but I do feel like what I'm doing now is squarely based in step 12. It's spreading the message, being there for others. Um, So yeah, I've used to do a lot more when I was in COVID. I did a lot of online meetings. So I still keep up with the online meeting world and I do still connect with people from my AA life that I love so much.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, and that
Awesome.
and there's always, when you come, I think, to this place of elevation, I'll call it. You
Mhm.
elevate to some new level and you come to this place of confidence that if you do need some support, that you can always go back as well, right? And you can
Yes,
always reach out
exactly.
to different people. Maybe it's this one person that was in that group of people and not necessarily the group, but the connection with the person. Because I think that's one thing I just learned about, that we learn so much about ourselves when we have a relationship. So, like maybe someone in that group sparked you or kind of give you hope or whatever, something like that. And that's what
Yes.
you can do for people as well. So,
Final
Yes.
pause. If you've got a message on your heart and want to be our guest, don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Visit ForwardWalkingChoices.com, scroll to the Soulmates and Suitcases podcast section, and click Apply Here. Now back to the show.
Exactly. I still have very, very close friends I made from AA, and we check in with each other all the time. And if I've got a really big decision coming up, I'll have phone calls with them and throw these ideas around. Hey, what do you think? People, I trust their opinions. And I'm so lucky. I feel so lucky to have gotten such close friendships with people from the of recovery. It's been a true blessing.
yeah, amazing. I know that's one thing actually I learned. I'm not part of the AA world. However, I was I'll say letting go of any sort of alcohol when I met Scott, and when I met him and he's sober, I'm like, bonus done. I'm done with that stuff.
That's
But when
great.
I met him, I didn't really know much about his life, and he's calling these guys, "Hey, brother," and I was like, "That's your brother?" And
Yeah.
no, but that's what I call him because really he had you know troubled kind of relationships with his own siblings, and so these people who really looked after him and God had his back and all those sort of things, calling them brother and sister and I
Yeah.
love you. I was like, you're telling this stranger I love you? What?
Yes.
Or
Hugs.
telling one of my girlfriends that I love them.
It's like I was like, what? I was like, so this is how this place works, right? Like, yeah, so I thought it was
Yes.
pretty cool. I got to see that.
It is great. It's such a different way of functioning. I got a lot more comfortable with expressing my feelings towards people,
Mhm.
and I wasn't so reserved with it because it's like you said, your soulmate's inside of you. You carry your soulmate with you, and the way to connect with others is just sharing freely of ourselves and being able to express, "Hey, I love you." And that doesn't have to have anything like romantic behind it. It's like,
No.
I love you as a human. I see you, I accept
You.
you, I don't judge you, and that's true love.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. Totally agree.
My friend Wilson,
A woman, yeah.
she's a woman, Jean Wilson, but everybody calls her Wilson. She's I think 72 and she won the lotto a couple of years ago. She could
Oh,
actually buy herself another Harley. She had one, but it was
cool.
dying, so she's still riding at 72.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Uh we were at a bar last year in Vancouver on a ride,
I know that's ironic,
and
right? Sorry.
she goes to Lisa, I don't even know who Scott is anymore. He's got me thrown right off kilter because I don't know how to act around him anymore because he's changed so
Oh,
much in the last 5 years. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
that's nice.
Yeah,
It was a nice compliment.
That's
Yeah.
a top tier compliment.
that is a
Yeah.
top tier compliment.
Yeah, exactly. So, Melissa, where can our audience get a hold of you to
Yeah,
work it with you as a client of yours, or get more information, or actually, before you tell us that, will you tell us more about this book? I don't want to let that go.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm writing it. I've always wanted to write a book, but now it really feels
Oh, that's funny.
grounded in some sort of purpose. And so it is a memoir based on these kind of double lives I was leading. The
Sorry.
double life
Just
of
a
this
sec. That's so funny. Thumbs up, though.
The double life of the professional struggling behind the scenes, kind of this overlap period, and finally this emergence as my authentic self.
Sweet.
So, my goal is to have the draft complete this year. So I am pushing myself. I've always loved to write, and I think one of the hardest things to do is to write about ourselves. It feels very vulnerable, very exposing, but the goal is to help people and to show people we too can recover as a professional.
Yeah, I love that, and I was reminded about that because have written our own books about our own life, and
Oh,
it's out there. And
great.
we worked with a very special lady. Her name's Natasha Denman, and she always reminded us it's not about the book, it's about the person you become at the end of writing your book.
Yes. Yes. And some days, I don't know if you had this experience where I wrote something and I just had to stop and say, I can't believe that came out of me, or I can't believe I remembered that, or I can't believe I've changed so much since that situation.
Yeah, oh yeah, I hear you on that one. Sometimes I go back and look at it because it's been a couple of years, and I go, I wrote that? Like,
Yeah.
really? That was
I'm
me.
waiting until the Audible of mine's done before I read it.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
I've found since I've been diagnosed with ADHD and that I've started listening to books and stuff, like I would read, and I'm actually going to buy a big book on Audible because I can actually take it in when I listen to it and
Yeah.
remember it. But
I'm the same.
if I attempt to read it, like at the meeting when you read out of the big book, I don't remember anything that people have said.
Yeah. You can listen to it on your Harley when you're cruising, and it's just a lovely experience all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Melissa, how can people get a hold of
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely through the website, thehealedprofessional.com. Also my socials, also at The Healed Professional.
And we'll have all the info in the description underneath our podcast here. And we're really, really excited to have you on. And we
Thank
thank you,
you.
Melissa, for joining us and sharing your story and sharing some hope for some people who might feel a little stuck right now or not sure where to go. So
Exactly.
we appreciate your time.
I love these
Thank you
comments.
so much. It was
Thank you
great
so
meeting
much.
you, and I
Yeah.
might show up in Thailand at some point, so I'll
Yay.
come
That's
find you.
great.
Come find us.
Come find us. We say Kapunka.
I'll do
That's
the
thank
thing.
you from
Yes.
Thailand.
Have
Thanks,
a great day.
Melissa.
Thanks.
You
All right.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Before we sign off, we wanted to share a little after the show conversation that never made it into the episode.
And you yourself, congratulations. 13 years sober. That's great.
Thank you. It's been quite a journey. It doesn't even feel that long. It
Yeah.
does and it doesn't. And Scott, you can probably relate to it, where it
Oh.
feels just like this combination of days that just kind of start adding up.
I got 23 in now, and it's just like
Awesome.
it almost like when you said 13, at 11 years, my life blew up. For about 6 years, it was just like one thing after another. And I got to the point where I thought the universe hated me and I wanted to put a gun in my mouth so bad that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and somehow I found a different direction. And that's how I ended up here, kind of, because and I've heard people say it in the rooms, and people are like, no, 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 no. And it's like, build a life that you don't want to disintegrate.
Exactly.
And once you get there, and it's not easy. I spent 24 years around 12-step programs before I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, AA is the foundation of my recovery, but it's expanded so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Want to get our books fast and at the best price? Get your electronic copy at https://payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors. Again, that's https://payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley authors.